tell something that may not be true?
I think at this point I need an attorney because it seems to me that y'all think that I did something to her.
Okay. I respect that. Sit tight and we'll go from there, okay?
Officer Taylor Wright was a well-loved and cherished woman. Taylor began her duty as a police officer in 2008 after graduating from the police academy. She dedicated her life to the pursuit of justice, wishing to bring peace to Jacksonville, North Carolina. Taylor was no meek woman. She was strong and outgoing, unafraid to speak her mind. Her heart was big and full of love for her friends and family. Her friend and life partner Cassandra Waller knew that if Taylor considered her one of her own, that they would receive a fierce loyalty like no other, and she expected the same from those close to her. When Taylor went missing, alarms began sounding off one by one. Her co-workers, friends, and family were split. Some believed that Taylor was trying to run from her problems, while others believed that something was seriously wrong. On October 19, 2017, Taylor's skeletonized remains were found wrapped tightly in a hammock, buried under soil and concrete with a bullet in her skull.
Any other plans, errands they had to run?
No. But when Taylor wouldn't text me back, I texted Ash, and I was like, Ash, like, where are you guys at? Because I thought that they were just going to run to the bank. That's the only thing I knew of that day. Finally, Ash called me, and Ash was like, hey, we're up at my mom's house, which is up in Milton. They own a farm. She was like, Taylor's broke down and cried twice today. I'm like, what is going on?
Murder investigations are highly sensitive cases that require a team of trained professionals to solve. When a body turns up, a person of interest must be established. In the case of Taylor Wright, her girlfriend Cassandra was the first suspect, but after hearing what she had to say, those thoughts changed. Ashley MacArthur was a close friend of Taylor's. Taylor had a rocky past and troubled marriage. During the divorce proceedings, Taylor was awarded $100,000 after all of their assets were split, paid for, or sold. Jeff Wright, her ex-husband, fought Taylor, saying that a portion of that money was his. So when Taylor withdrew the money from their shared bank account against court order, Ashley was one of the few people Taylor turned to. Ashley reassured Taylor the money would be safely hidden away in a bank safety deposit box. But when it was time to return the money, Ashley MacArthur showed her true colors.
Hey, can I tell you something else that I've been thinking about? Just because it's bothering me sitting in here and I was...
What you got?
So, Taylor, it seemed like she was getting paranoid. She was talking about how she felt like something just wasn't right with Ashley. She wasn't sure if Ash had her money or not. Because Taylor had been trying to get the money out of Ash's safety deposit box, Taylor said, for like 4 or 5 days. And I was like, Taylor, she's probably been really busy. And she goes, no, Cass, she goes, like, I'm telling you, something just doesn't feel right with me. I don't want to think this, but, like, I want to give you guys, like, whatever you guys need.
Taylor was known for her love and loyalty. What many don't know, however, is that Cassandra and Taylor had bumps in their relationship as well. The pair hadn't been together long when Taylor began experimenting with illicit drugs, specifically cocaine. This would eventually lead to Taylor cheating on Cassandra, but this wasn't the end of their relationship. For weeks, a box truck sat in the driveway of Cassandra's home, full of Taylor's belongings. It seemed as though they were attempting to work things out. On top of the troubles in her current marriage, Taylor was fighting for custody of her son Drake, whom she had with her ex-husband. Additionally, Taylor owed several $1,000s in child support back pay and was expected to appear in court on September 7, 2017. Times were rough for Taylor, and it didn't seem like things were going to be getting any better.
Because at this point, we have no clue. We don't know if she's, like, had a mental breakdown and is, like, lost her rocker and just kind of blow. I mean, she's got a lot of money on her. Who knows that she didn't plan on just maybe going and hanging out with another friend for a couple of days and someone find that she had 20, 30 G's on her and was like, hey, I like that now.
With the heat of suspicion turned to Ashley, detectives decided to bring her in for questioning. MacArthur was the last person to be seen with Taylor before her disappearance. And according to Cassandra, the two were on their way to retrieve Taylor's money.
Now, did Cass leave before y'all, or did y'all leave at the same time?
Cass was still there when we left.
Cass was still there when y'all left. Are you sure she was still there when y'all pulled out?
Well, 100%, I think so.
Okay.
MacArthur's attitude towards the situation is not one of a worried friend. She is laid back, laughing with the detectives, and scoffs when recalling details. It's obvious that she could care less about Taylor.
So this whole thing about a safety deposit box of yours, do you know anything about that?
Well, Taylor wanted to get a safety deposit box initially, but she didn't want her name or anything to be on anything that Jeff could find.
Sure.
So I was like, we'll just keep it and give it to you or whatever, because I don't know why she didn't keep it. She has a safe of her
That's what's
own.
odd. Yeah, that's what's odd.
And I don't know if it had to do with she didn't want Cass involved with any. I don't know. It's hard to say what was going through her head, because I don't know why she was doing a lot of the stuff that she was doing.
When Taylor didn't come home, Cassandra grew worried, afraid that something grave had happened. It was split down the middle. Many of Taylor's friends believed that she took off with the money with the intent of running away from her problems. Others believed that something was terribly wrong, that Taylor would never run away like this. Cassandra called and texted Taylor's phone dozens of times. This was so far out of character for the woman she knew and loved. Finally, after countless hours of clutching her phone and hoping for the best, Cassandra received a text message. The language used in the message set off alarms in her mind, and a pit grew in her stomach. Cassandra knew this didn't sound like Taylor speaking to her on the other end.
She'd call and say, I just want to come hang out, and skip over, sitting at home, I guess, and
Sure.
whatever. She was a strange girl.
Okay. Had y'all made plans, or like prior to that day, had y'all made plans of what you were going to be doing that day?
Not really. I mean, we talked about her, she wanted to get the money and stuff, and she wanted me to review some case documents or something that she had to make sure that she had typed it out right or whatever. But aside from that, we were supposed to go pick up the TV, but I don't know.
Ashley tells the detective that she and Taylor went to the bank around 4:30 in the afternoon, an hour before most banks usually close. While this isn't odd, Ashley tells the detective that Taylor wanted to ride around and check on an address to see who was home. Taylor worked as a private investigator and was likely working on a case at the time. Additionally to this, she apparently wanted to go and pick up a TV, drive around, and then be taken to MacArthur's family farm. This was a lot to do in such a short amount of time, and as it so conveniently was, Ashley couldn't recall any timestamps. This could have been on purpose, so the investigative team couldn't check for CCTV footage, but this doesn't help Ashley either. This leaves her without an alibi. MacArthur's nonchalant and carefree attitude is going to be her demise.
Had she asked before that at any point to go get the money?
Yeah, and I had been super busy that week because of the what we had done before that, the week before, and I had just 8 million things going on. We were actually supposed to do it the day that she had the box truck, moving it, and then they ended up just doing all that instead of...
The moment Cassandra brought up the money situation between Taylor and Ashley, detectives immediately switched their mindsets and tactics. They knew, with the presence of money, that this could be a potential murder case. Before bringing Ashley into the interview room, detectives were granted access to her bank account at Wells Fargo. There was no trace of a security deposit box in MacArthur's name, but listed on her bank statement was a deposit for $34,000. Ashley had stolen Taylor's money.
I wouldn't have to have anything to do with this if she wasn't trying to... I mean, this is a pain in the ass for me,
Sure,
you know?
sure. All of us.
Well, I mean, it really is, because, like, now I'm stuck with all of her stuff at my office, and, even before all this goes on, she's got the truck for a week, and this and that. I mean, just trying to help her, and, of course, the story that I get is a very sob story about how Jeff's taken all this money, and he took all this stuff from her, and Now she's just, trying to hide it and move it and do all kind of just shady stuff with it. And, like, she's overinflating credit cards and stuff. Like, putting extra money on credit cards. I mean, who does that?
Ashley is distancing herself from Taylor. She's speaking of their relationship as if it was more of a job she couldn't quit instead of a friendship. MacArthur makes several snide comments about Taylor in an ugly fashion. She believes that by trash-talking Taylor, she can lead the detectives to believe she wanted nothing to do with Taylor and was trying to get away from her as soon as possible. Ashley worked within the CSI unit for her local police department. If she knew anything, she should have known to contact a lawyer right away and not attempt to talk her way out of this. This goes to show that not everyone is as smart as they think they are, especially when money is involved. As a tactic used in nearly every investigation, detectives were able to pull Ashley's cell phone data from the day Taylor went missing. Investigators found that Ashley and Taylor never went to the farm in Milton. Instead, they were over 30 miles away in Cantonment. Investigators learned that Ashley's family had a second farm in Cantonment. Now, with the evidence officers pulled from her bank statements, cell phone data, and more, investigators decided to bring Ashley back for questioning. At the same time, officers were granted permission to enter the premises of the second family farm and begin their search for Taylor's body.
Do you have any ideas, anyone that we can go talk to?
Other than people that we've already talked about.
Has your mind changed at all? Do you feel any different? Have you thought about any other ways that this could have went down?
Not really.
Have you ever had to sign her name to a check? To deposit?
No.
Caught in lie number 1. When investigators subpoenaed MacArthur's bank records, they had also received a copy of the cashier's check Taylor had made out. The signature on the back of the check did not match any of Taylor's previous signatures on other checks she had chased, meaning that someone else had signed for it.
Do you recall how much the cashier's check was for?
I think 30-something thousand, 34.
And she or you deposited that?
I deposited that. I actually deposited all of the checks for her.
Ashley begins to realize that the detectives pulled her banking records and know exactly where the money has gone. Nervously, she begins to squirm and fidget in the chair. It's clear to her now that she has been caught in her lie, but to what extent?
Well, I want to go back to the cow stuff here for a minute. This right here.
This totally could be explainable, that's why.
Yeah, that's why. I think this is the... Do you know whose signature that is?
It does Taylor's name, but it doesn't really look like her signature.
Would you have maybe wrote her name on there by chance?
Probably not.
Is that clearly Taylor's signature?
I mean, it looks like it.
MacArthur's confidence is lost. She no longer is playing the role of a mean girl who took pity on her friend. Her voice is low and unsure as the detective reveals more and more evidence to her. The second detective forces Ashley to turn her chair and uncross her legs. He's breaking down her defensive posture and putting her in a more vulnerable state. Suspects who are walking the line of being caught will tense up, move around and cross their arms or legs, all in an attempt to make themselves feel small, out of the sight of the detectives. Unfortunately for Ashley, this isn't going to work. Not this time.
Don't let us tell something that may not be true.
I think at this point I need an attorney because it seems to me that y'all think that I did something to her.
Okay. I respect that. Sit tight and we'll go from there, okay?
This would be the last interview detectives would have with Ashley MacArthur. The search of the Cantonment family farm was still underway, with no sign of Taylor's body. That was until a detective noticed along a fence line that there was a patch of foliage that didn't match the rest of the area. Carefully, officers removed various sticks and branches until they were able to reveal what appeared to be a human skull. The skull was sticking out of the ground through a mixture of potting soil and concrete used to conceal the body. Investigators pulled the remains from the ground piece by piece. In doing so, they uncovered a necklace, linking the skeletal remains back to Taylor Wright. It was obvious that Ashley felt like a caged animal, backed into a corner with nowhere else to go. Ashley's unrelenting greed blinded her, tempting her to steal the money. But when it came time to face the reality she created, Ashley chose to murder Taylor. Nearly 2 years after Taylor's death, Ashley MacArthur's trial began. She was found guilty of premeditated murder with a firearm and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.